Deion Sanders just went completely off the rails during a live television interview, and what he said is going to send shockwaves through every NFL front office in America. This wasn't a planned statement. This wasn't a carefully worded press release. This was prime time losing his composure on national television, pointing fingers directly at specific teams and executives, accusing them of deliberately sabotaging his son's NFL career before it even started. The names he dropped are shocking. The conspiracy he's alleging involves draft manipulation, leaked false information, and coordinated efforts to tank Shedeur's value. And the evidence he claims to have? Text messages, recorded phone calls, insider testimony, could expose the ugliest scandal in modern NFL history. What started as a routine interview about Shedeur's draft prospects turned into a 15-minute tirade that has lawyers scrambling, league officials panicking, and the entire football world asking one question: is Deion Sanders telling the truth, or is this the breakdown of a desperate father? February 12, 2026, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Deion Sanders is scheduled for a live interview on a major sports network's primetime show. The topic is supposed to be Shedeur Sanders' preparation for the upcoming NFL draft, his Pro Bowl performance, and which teams might be the best fit. It's supposed to be a softball interview, promotional, positive, the kind of thing Deion has done hundreds of times throughout his career. But from the moment the cameras go live, something feels wrong. Deion looks tense, his jaw is clenched, his body language is aggressive, and when the host asks the opening question, how's Shedeur handling all the draft speculation, Deion doesn't give a typical answer. Instead, he leans forward, stares directly into the camera, and says something that stops everyone watching. Before I answer that, I need to say something that I've been holding back for too long. My son's career is being sabotaged, deliberately, by people in NFL front offices who are terrified of what he represents, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not happening anymore. The host, clearly caught off guard, tries to redirect. Deion, that's a strong accusation. Can you clarify what you mean? Deion doesn't back down. If anything, he gets more intense. I mean exactly what I said. There are teams, executives, people with power in this league who have been spreading lies about my son for months. False injury reports, fake character concerns, made-up stories about his work ethic, all designed to tank his draft stock so he falls to a team that's willing to play dirty to get him. The room goes silent. The host looks at the producers off camera, clearly unsure how to handle this, but Deion keeps going. I've got receipts. I've got text messages from agents telling me that certain teams are deliberately leaking negative information to reporters. I've got sources inside front offices who've told me that there are coordinated efforts to make sure Shedeur doesn't go to a team where he'd actually succeed. This isn't paranoia. This is real. And then Deion does something that nobody expected. He starts naming names. The Cleveland Browns have been the worst. They publicly acted interested in Shedeur, brought him in for visits, made him think they were serious. But the whole time they were leaking to the media. The room goes silent. The host looks at the producers off camera, clearly unsure how to handle this. But Deion keeps going. I've got receipts. I've got text messages from agents telling me that certain teams are deliberately leaking negative information to reporters. I've got sources inside front offices who've told me that there are coordinated efforts to make sure Shedeur doesn't go to a team where he'd actually succeed. This isn't paranoia. This is real. And then Deion does something that nobody expected. He starts naming names. The Cleveland Browns have been the worst. They publicly acted interested in Shedeur, brought him in for visits, made him think they were serious. But the whole time they were leaking to the media that they had concerns about me being too involved, that I'd be a distraction, that Shedeur couldn't handle the pressure. All lies, all designed to poison the well so other teams would pass on him. The host tries to interject, but Deion talks over him. And it's not just Cleveland. There are other teams doing the same thing, leaking false information, planting negative stories, all because they're scared. Scared that if Shedeur succeeds, it proves that black quarterbacks with strong fathers and independent thinking don't fit their narrative of what NFL quarterbacks should be. That last line about race and narrative takes this from a typical draft controversy to something much bigger and more explosive, and Deion keeps pushing. You want to know why I warned Cleveland publicly? Because I know what they're doing. I know they're trying to draft Shedeur and then bury him behind Deshaun Watson for 2 years so he never gets a real shot. I know they're trying to control him, break him, make him just another failed Browns quarterback, and I won't let that happen. At this point, the interview has completely derailed. The host is trying to ask follow-up questions, but Deion is on a roll, unleashing everything he's been holding back. The NFL doesn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur. They want guys who shut up, follow orders, don't question anything. But my son is his own man. He's confident, he's outspoken, he's not going to be controlled, and that scares people, so they're trying to destroy him before he even gets a chance. Deion then makes an allegation that, if true, would be one of the biggest scandals in NFL history. I have information that certain teams have been coordinating with each other to make sure Shedeur falls in the draft. They've been sharing negative scouting reports that they know are false. They've been agreeing not to draft him early so he slides to a team where he'll fail. This is collusion. This is illegal under league rules, and I'm going to expose every single person involved. The interview continues for another 10 minutes, with Deion making more accusations, more claims, more threats. He says he's considering filing a formal complaint with the NFL. He says he's talked to lawyers about potential legal action. He says he's going to release evidence publicly if the league doesn't investigate. By the time the interview ends, the sports world is in absolute chaos. Social media explodes. The hashtag #DeionExposesNFL starts trending nationally within minutes. Reporters scramble to verify Deion's claims. NFL executives issue frantic denials, and the league office releases a brief statement saying they're aware of the comments and reviewing the situation. But let me break down what's actually happening here. Because Deion Sanders didn't just randomly go on television and make wild accusations. There's a method to this madness, and it's either brilliant strategy or complete self-destruction. According to sources close to Deion who've spoken to reporters over the past few hours, prime time has been building up to this moment for weeks. He's been gathering information, talking to agents, collecting evidence of what he believes is a coordinated effort to damage Shedeur's draft stock. The specific allegations Deion made about the Cleveland Browns are based on real conversations. Sources say that the Browns executives did express concerns to other teams about Deion's involvement, and those concerns did leak to reporters. Whether that constitutes sabotage is debatable, but it definitely happened. The more explosive claim about teams coordinating to make Shedeur fall in the draft is harder to verify. But sources say Deion has text messages between agents that suggest certain teams have agreed to pass on Shedeur in the first round. Whether that rises to the level of collusion is a legal question that would require an NFL investigation. But here's where Deion's strategy, if you can call it that, gets interesting. By going public with these accusations on live television, he's forcing the NFL to respond. The NFL can't ignore this. If there's even a hint of truth to the collusion allegations, the NFL has to investigate or risk looking like they're covering it up. But if Deion's accusations are false, if he can't produce evidence, then he's just destroyed his own credibility and potentially hurt Shedeur's draft stock even more by making teams think the Sanders family is too much drama to deal with.
The reaction across the NFL has been swift and divided. Some people are supporting Deion. Former players, especially black quarterbacks who faced similar scrutiny, are backing him on social media. They're saying Deion is speaking truth to power, calling out systemic issues in how black quarterbacks are evaluated and treated. Others are destroying Deion. Analysts are calling him paranoid, delusional, and harmful to his son's career. They're saying no NFL team is going to want to draft Shedeur now because they don't want to deal with a father who goes on television and makes wild accusations whenever things don't go his way. NFL executives, speaking anonymously to reporters, are furious. One GM told ESPN, "What Deion just did is insane. He accused teams of illegal collusion on national television without proof. If he can't back that up, he should be sued for defamation." The Cleveland Browns issued a statement denying Deion's allegations. The Cleveland Browns conduct all draft evaluations with integrity and in compliance with NFL rules. Any suggestion that we have engaged in improper conduct is categorically false and irresponsible. But that statement doesn't address the specific claim that Browns executives leaked negative information about Deion to reporters. And sources say that detail is the one Deion can actually prove. As of right now, February 12, 2026, the NFL is in emergency meetings, trying to figure out how to respond to Deion's allegations. Commissioner Roger Goodell is reportedly being briefed on the situation. Legal teams are reviewing whether Deion's claims have any merit, and public relations staff are preparing statements. But here's the brutal reality. Whether Deion is right or wrong, he just made Shedeur Sanders the most controversial prospect in the 2026 NFL Draft. Teams that were considering drafting him are now hesitating because they don't want the media circus that comes with the Sanders family. Teams that already had concerns are using this as confirmation that Shedeur is too much trouble. And if Shedeur's draft stock falls because of his father's live television meltdown, it will be the ultimate irony. Deion tried to protect his son from sabotage, but he might have sabotaged him himself. The next few weeks are going to be critical. If Deion releases the evidence he claims to have, if text messages and recordings come out showing teams coordinating against Shedeur, this could be the biggest NFL scandal in decades. But if no evidence materializes, if this was just an emotional father lashing out, then Deion Sanders will have destroyed his credibility and potentially hurt his son's career in ways that can't be undone. Deion Sanders just went nuclear on live television, accusing NFL teams of sabotaging Shedeur's career through coordinated leaks and possible collusion. Whether he's exposing a real conspiracy or having a public breakdown, the damage is done. Shedeur is now the most controversial prospect in the draft, and the entire football world is waiting to see if Deion can back up his explosive claims, or if this was the moment that destroyed everything.